the MindFit golf coach here. For several years I was the main stage compere for the London, Manchester and national golf shows. What follows is part of the presentation we would do to the audience, getting them to question and understand what golf was and what MindFit Golf can do for their golf as they want to improve. I hope you enjoy it. Question for everybody. What is golf? Well, if you look in a dictionary, golf is a noun. It has one of those little letter N's in brackets after it. And golf is a game where the aim is to get a small ball into a series of small holes using sticks or clubs. So that poses the next question then. What is a game? Well, that's quite simple. We just go back to the dictionary and a game is a noun. And it comes up with something done for amusement. So you're meant to play golf for amusement? Well, absolutely. Well, I'd like to think you want to enjoy it, don't you? Now, I've been a golf pro a long time, and I haven't seen many amused faces coming off the 18th green. Certainly a lot of bemused faces, but not many amused. So why is it so difficult? Why is it so challenging? Well, let's look at it this way. Let's assume you're hitting the ball 100 metres. So you have to apply a force at the back of the ball with the club face square and make sure the club face is travelling in the correct direction so the ball will fly straight towards your target. Now, if you're 1 millimetre off centre at the moment you hit the golf ball, assuming the club face is square to that point and travelling in that direction, then at 100 metres you'll be 4.69 metres off target. Wow, that sounds like you've got to be pretty accurate then. Well, that's right, you do. But the problem is golfers tend to focus on how poorly they're hitting the golf ball, how badly they're hitting it, how much the ball is off target, when the reality is they don't need to change that much. So how does that work then? Well, rather than think about a millimetre, let's think about a dimple. A dimple on average is 3.85 millimetres in diameter. Now, if you do the maths, what happens is if you're one dimple off centre at the moment you hit the golf ball, assuming the club face is square to that point and travelling in that direction, at 100 metres, you'll be 18.06 metres off target. Or, to put that into old money, that's 19.75 yards off target. So you're almost 20 yards off target and you need to improve less than 3.85 millimetres. Now, that is a long way out at 100 metres. Well, that is one way of looking at it, but you could also look at it a different way. You're only 3.85 millimetres off centre at the moment you hit the golf ball. Golfers tend to focus on how far they are off target, when actually the small margin they need to improve is tiny when you begin to look at it from the golf pole's perspective. And that's exactly what MindFit Golf does. So you get golfers to think about the ball. That's correct. Before I met my colleague Neville Gaunt, the strapline for Westwood Golf was, it's all about the ball. Remember, the aim is to get a small ball into a series of small holes using sticks or clubs. Doesn't say anything about how you need to swing the club. Does that mean you ought to ignore technique then? Absolutely not. But we pay more attention to the golf ball because it's giving us all the relevant information, things that actually happened at the moment that you hit the golf ball. Well, that sounds like we need a launch monitor then to tell us everything that we need to know. Well, not really, because a long time before we had launch monitors, we had this amazing piece of kit between our ears called a brain. And if we give it the right information, it tends to be able to work out what we need to do. Does that mean that we're thinking again? No, we're just paying attention to the golf ball and keeping it simple. The simpler you can keep it, the better it will be. In fact, one of the first verse I had for the children's book, Mind Fit Golf for Kids, was, the game of golf is really quite simple. It can all be explained by the size of a dimple. Right, I can see how that fits now with that earlier explanation about a dimple being 3.85 millimeters in diameter. There's 3 elements you need to pay attention to. What height was the club at the moment you hit the golf ball? If the club head is too high, you hit the top of the ball. Too low, you hit the ground. Somewhere in between, you're going to be hit something like a good shot. If you hit the ball on the left, it goes to the right. Hit the ball on the right, it goes to the left. Somewhere in between, it goes straight. And the only other element you need to factor in is what angle was the club face at the moment you hit the ball. If the club face is open to the path of the club, the ball will spin right. If it's closed to the path of the club, it will curve left. And if it's square to the path of the club, the ball will fly straight. And that could be flying straight left, or straight right. So that sounds it would be quite simple to do. Well, you'd think so, but golfers have played for far too long reacting emotionally to what happens after they hit the golf ball, i.e. in a negative sense, and generally breathing a sense of relief if they happen to hit a good shot. So by taking those elements out of the equation and just paying attention to the facts of what happens when you hit the golf ball, we can begin to make sense of what actually happens and how we can improve. So that was a brief explanation of what we do and what Mind Fit Golf is. And what we did on stage, we demonstrated hitting different shots. We'd make a swing that was too high, too low. We'd hit one right, we'd hit one left. And we're using airflow golf balls because we couldn't hit proper golf balls into an audience. We'd see if we can get the ball curving a little bit right and curving a little bit left. And we kept it simple. And golfers get it. And I've been doing this now for the best part of 25 years. And this piece of kit between our ears is pretty smart when it comes into it. And if we can pay attention to the golf ball, we can begin to make changes, because those changes are really quite small. We look forward to seeing you next time. Have a great day wherever you are. We'll be back soon. The Mind Fit Golf Coach saying goodbye. Bye.